it is only right for us to call our shot, because come January, there's going to be a lot of people out there saying, man, I knew it, or man, I had them picked, or whatever it is. And we'd like to be one of those people, to be 100% honest with you. Also, at this point in time, comment below, who are your Power 5 conference winners and who's making the college football playoff? Because I'm about to give you mine. So we just went conference by conference and picked a division winner for each of those divisions within that conference, if that makes sense for those that apply. Gave you our championship game within the conference, give you our college football playoff, ultimately ending with who we're picking to win the national title. Without further ado, in the Big Ten, I have Ohio State coming out of the East, and I have Minnesota coming out of the West. Now, Minnesota's probably the one that you're raising the eyebrow at. I understand. I'm not here to talk about PJ Fleck rowing the boat, although I love that juice. I think if you're juiceless, you're useless. But looking at what they have coming back, Tanner Morgan, not unlike Sean Clifford, is going on his 27th year of college football. And then Mohamed Ibrahim is a guy I'm really excited to watch. Was phenomenal in 2020, got hurt in 2021. If you remember correctly, in that very first game when they played Ohio State, Mohamed Ibrahim kind of had Ohio State on the ropes. Now, I'm not here to talk about that game specifically in terms of what it's going to translate to for Minnesota, but I am saying that I think Minnesota is the team that ultimately comes out of the West. You can make some money with it on Vegas, I'm just saying. In the Big 12, they don't do divisions there. They talk about one true champion. I'm here for it. The Big 12, I have Oklahoma. I think that Jeff Lebby and Dylan Gabriel will get to a quick start. And in a conference where there are so many transitions and so many things going on within different programs there, I think this is the perfect setup for Oklahoma to hit the ground running with a quarterback and OC that already know what they're doing, with a head coach that, yes, it's his first year, but he gets Oklahoma. He's going to bring a level of competitiveness and an edge on defense to Oklahoma they haven't had there in a minute, and I think that's going to be a perfect mix, if you will, to get the right product to Oklahoma to allow them to get into the Big 12 championship game. And then we have them playing Baylor. Baylor, not unlike other teams in this conference, is going through their own transition. Dave Aranda told Gary Bohannon, he said, hey, I appreciate what you did here. I appreciate you got us to a Big 12 title. We're going with Blake Shapen. Credit to him. They're going to be a little bit more vertical in what they do this year. They're going to throw the ball a little bit more, still have that wide zone where they get downhill and still hand it off to the running back and play in the trenches with their offensive line that has just about everybody back. The defense is who I'm feeling confident in under Dave Aranda and Ron Roberts. They're just football geniuses, folks. They know how to get it done. They're going to get it done. So I'm siding with Baylor to ultimately be one of the teams that plays in that Big 12 title game. Now, I'm taking Oklahoma to win the Big 12. I think ultimately too much juice on offense for Dylan Gabriel and Jeff Lebby. I think they get it done and win the Big 12. Moving on to the ACC. I think Clemson comes out of the Atlantic. That's probably not a surprise to you. I have Miami coming out of the Coastal. I think the Mario Cristobal experiment works in year one. Not so much experiment. I think the Mario Cristobal effort pays dividends in year one, not unlike it will in Oklahoma. And I think that this team takes on his persona, takes on his edge that we haven't seen Miami have in a while. I think Tyler Van Dyke continues to progress and shows a lot of people why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country and makes a statement in 2022. So I like Tyler Van Dyke in Miami to make it to the championship game. However, I think Clemson wins the ACC because that front seven is ridiculous. Like, to put it simply, they're ridiculous, full of Transformers, Power Rangers, and the Boogeyman. That's who they have in the front seven. Now, if they get just marginally better production from the quarterback spot, I'm not even saying it has to be DJ Uiagalelei. If you watch this show, you know I feel good about him to a degree based on what Dabo Swinney has said. You know I feel okay about DJ. But even if it's not DJ, if they just get a little bit better, it could be Hunter Johnson for all I care. It could be Cade Klubnik. If they get someone who is capable of having a decent level of production at quarterback, I mean, the bus will drive itself, folks. The defense is that good. So I think Clemson ultimately wins the ACC. And then in the SEC, Bama wins the West. Georgia wins the East. Probably the most boring prediction you're going to get. I wanted to look at this a million different ways and say, well, what if Tennessee comes out of the East? What if Florida comes out of the East? I couldn't pick against Kirby Smart, is ultimately what it comes down to. 8 new guys on defense. Stetson Bennett says, run that back, Turbo. I want to win another ring. Ultimately, I think Bama is just motivated. Like, to put it simply, Bama has tasted their own blood. You have a motivated Alabama team. And I don't know if there's a more dangerous thing in college football, to be honest with you. A motivated Alabama team and a smiling, positive Nick Saban is just going to wreak havoc on everybody else. So I think ultimately Georgia puts forth a valiant effort. They do more on offense this year to be able to get back to this kind of game, but I think Bama wins the SEC. Then we move on to the Pac-12, who took advantage of the rule change and said, no divisions, we don't need those anymore. Great, we're out. They're like, wait, next year? No, this year, we're out. No more divisions. Say, okay, great. May the best team win. I think you see Utah and USC in the Pac-12 championship game. USC just has so much firepower. Like, if they rolled the ball out tomorrow and just cut the rest of fall practice short, said, okay, that's enough time, go play. USC has so many playmakers to where I think they'd still be able to score 30 a game, if not 40. Like, they have that much firepower. Now, the issue with USC is the toughness and the trenches. It's not a knock on USC. It's just a matter of getting your guys in still if you're Lincoln Riley. So they could do it. I'm not saying they can't do it, but I think USC gets the Pac-12 championship game, but the toughness and experience of Utah is ultimately what gets it done. Utah is a team that is probably the most sure of itself in the entire country. I love that about Kyle Whittingham and what he's done at Utah, the kind of program and culture he's built. And they're going to play good defense, and they're going to play tough on offense and in the trenches, and they're going to run the ball at you, and they're going to throw it when they need to. That's Utah. Unfortunately for USC, I think that's the exact formula that they can't account for just yet under Lincoln Riley. They're going to get there. I truly believe they will. They're going to get there, but in year one under Lincoln Riley, I think it's a Pac-12 title appearance, not a Pac-12 title win. So that's it. So to go down this list, to recap for you, Ohio State wins the Big Ten. Oklahoma wins the Big 12. Clemson takes home the ACC belt, and you got Bama winning the SEC. Utah comes out of the Pac-12. So to look at this college football playoff picture, someone's got to get left out of that Power 5, right? Assuming there's no Gang of 5 team that somehow crashes the party again and shows up. I don't think we see that again this year. What I do think will happen, though, is we're going to see the Pac-12 get left out. Now, how that would be reversed, I suppose, is if you were somehow to run the table and be undefeated. If you're an undefeated Pac-12 champion, I don't think you get left out. I don't know that I see Utah winning the Pac-12 with less than one loss, is the unfortunate reality for me. So with that being said, in my college football playoff, I have Bama as a 1 seed. I think they go undefeated. I think you have Ohio State. They could also be undefeated. They may have a loss somewhere on the schedule. You could have a weird thing happen. It is college football, the greatest game in the world, so you could have a little bit of parity, a little bit of sneakiness, if you will, which is why we love the game so much. But I think Ohio State still finds their way in with one loss, if not less, as the 2 seed. I got Clemson as a 3 seed. Clemson may need to go undefeated to get it done. Just to call a spade a spade. Clemson, based on their schedule and based on what the ACC is bringing to the table historically, they might need a little bit of style points to get there. But I think they end up in that 3 spot, and then Oklahoma will end up in the 4 spot. I think Oklahoma has 1 loss. The Big 12 might just be a little bit of a gladiator, knockdown, drag out, fight to the death kind of conference this year, but I think Oklahoma will have the juice on offense to overcome 1 loss and ultimately win the whole deal. So in terms of what I think the college football championship game will be like, the national title, I think, and this is boring, the Natty is going to be Alabama and Ohio State. They are the 2 most talented teams in the country. They are 2 of the best coached teams in the country. And they have the quarterback spot right in spades with Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. And they have the playmaker position right. I say playmaker position. They have playmakers at a myriad of positions, especially on defense for Alabama. I think the Ohio State defense will be improved, and they're going to score a lot of points. They're going to win a lot of track meets. But I think Alabama, at the end of the day, when all the dust settles, like I just said a second ago, you're going to have a motivated Alabama team and a smiling Nick Saban when he's holding that trophy up at the end of the year. I'm picking the Alabama Crimson Tide to bring home the national title. Nothing more dangerous than a motivated Bama and a smiling Nick Saban. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.